Well, the camera is recording, so the show might be starting. My name's Eric Warnock, the 99-cent comedian. How are you? Thank you. I've done that before. People are going, Rodney Dangerfield right off the bat. I tell you, a tough crowd. The last name is Warnock. It's a Scots-Irish name, which means every morning, yeah, thank you, which means every morning when I wake up, I want to get as drunk as I can, but do it as cheaply as possible. Yeah, we got some Scots-Irish people over here. First name is Eric. Now you think, that's an easy name. No, it's not. I introduce myself. Hi, my name's Eric. People are going, Harry, Gary, Larry, Jerry, Terry. I haven't been called Ferry yet, thankfully. But anyway, so I think about these ladies and girls named Erica. So I got to thinking, when I introduce myself, I'm going to start using that hard K. So I went out to the club one night. I introduced myself to some young lovelies, and I said, hi, my name is Eric. One of them goes, she flinched. She goes, dang, dude, how about some anger management classes? I went up to another group and I said, hey, my name is Eric. Come to find out, one of them was an off-duty registered nurse. She gets up, runs behind me, and starts giving me the Heimlich maneuver. You guys familiar with phantom pains? When someone has a limb amputated or something, it'll feel like it's still there, and it goes on for years. Well, I've had phantom hair pain since the late 70s. Went to the doctor. The doctor said, Eric, what's the problem? I said, Doc, I got phantom pains. He goes, dang, we're going to have to give you some OxyContin. I said, thanks, Doc. Interesting thing, been to a lot of training classes in my life, and one of the things I found out that a lot of times the trainers will give out lists of the top 10 human fears we have. Well, number 2, the fear of death. Number 1, the fear of public speaking. How many people do you suppose are lying in their caskets thinking, thank God I'm dead, not out giving the eulogy? I performed at a Bakersfield Condors Booster Club banquet a while back, and sometimes when I tell a joke, there's a delayed reaction, and in my head I'm going 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. If I go to 4 Mississippi, back to Rodney Dangerfield. Woo! So anyway, we had all these Canadian hockey players in there. So I got to wondering, what in Canada, what do they use to count off seconds? We use Mississippi. What do they use? 1 Saskatchewan, A. Well, as fate would have it, I met a woman from Canada a short while later, and after we exchanged pleasantries, I asked her, I said, I got to know something. In the United States, when we count off seconds, we use Mississippi. She goes, oh, we use Mississippi too. She said, we learned how to ride it and, spell it and everything in elementary school. I go, well, you guys could use Saskatchewan. She said, yeah, but nobody in Canada can spell Saskatchewan. So apparently, in order to use the name of a 4-syllable state, you have to know how to spell it in Canada to click it off as seconds. Kind of interesting too, this guy I went to high school with introduced me. This was lovely. He gets up, Eric Warnock's going to come up and do comedy. And then this is a kid, he goes, I don't know if he's any good. I haven't seen him since high school. It's like, wow. So I just request of you people, if you ever introduce an entertainer somewhere, and you know you're going to do it, start taking your antidepressants about 2 weeks before, the difference between comedians and musicians is both suffer from equal social pathology, but musicians can count to 4 and know the alphabet to G, for the chord, the notes of music. You've heard Bruce Springsteen, all right, boys, we're going to do this in E. 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, Paul drummers, they only know how to count to 4. Giving it this, 1, 2, 3. I'm just so cool. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I mentioned that to a drummer one time, and he said, Eric, that's not true about what you say about we drummers not knowing the alphabet. And I said, oh, yeah? And he said, yeah, we know the letter X. I said, well, do tell. He said, we have to sign legal documents, I actually had a drummer tell me this. What's the drummer's motto? If you're not the lead dog, the view's always the same. Looking at the back. Anyway, let that settle in when you're driving home. How does the lead singer get on the good side of a drummer? Buns of steel work out. But man, I'm a straight man, but boy, I got to tell you, that guy's tushy's looking pretty good. But I am straight. Whatever. Best part about it, being a drummer, you very rarely lose your seat. You go into a bar, you get up and walk away, you might lose your seat. For your drummer, not so much. Hallowed ground. Interesting, though, I am a comedian, obviously, and but I did take guitar lessons for a while. And I'm pretty pleased to say now I can count to 4 and I know the alphabet to G. That's what you call an uppity comedian right there. You think you're better than me, dude? Yeah. I've been hearing this word empathy lately. I wasn't quite sure of what empathy is. So I asked some people, I said, hey, what's empathy? And they said, Eric, empathy is when you put yourself in another person's shoes. So I figured I would start practicing empathy. You know what I got for practicing empathy for 9 months? I went to the podiatrist and he said, Eric, you've been coming in here for 9 months now and you've had 7 distinct cases of athlete's foot. What's the deal? And I said, well, sir, I've been practicing empathy. He goes, what do you mean practicing empathy? I said, empathy is when you put yourself in another person's shoes. He goes, Eric, there's a virulent form of drug-resistant athlete's foot going around. I'm concerned you're going to get it. So would you quit with the empathy already? So don't be looking to me for any empathy. It was kind of a sad tale. I heard that by the year 2035, and they are the ones who've said this, that by 2035, half the world's population is either going to be overweight or obese. That's pretty rough. So I hear that the clergy is now beginning to change their marriage vows. It used to be a man will leave his mother and father and unite unto his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. Now it's the man will unite unto his wife, and the two shall become 3 fleshes. Apparently we have a bunch of unmarried atheists in here. Oh, God. Boom. I wasn't feeling too good recently, so I thought, I'm going to take check of my life. So what I did is I submitted a video to the United States Department of Wit Determination. You've heard of half-wit, dim-wit, nit-wit. Well, I've been stuck at a half-wit for about 11 years now. So I submitted a tape, and the United States Department of Wit Determination looked at it, and I got a little email back, and it said, "We'd like to congratulate you. You've now been determined to be a 1732nd wit. I'm no longer a half-wit." And I got to tell you, that's a concrete barrier, man, that breaking through that half-wit stuff, which is kind of interesting because I've also been practicing getting away from binary thinking, right and wrong, left and right, up and down, all that nonsense. And what's the opposite of concrete thinking, which is the barrier I had to overcome? Abstract thinking, which is non-binary. People ask me sometimes, "Eric, how long have you been a comedian?" And I said, "Well, I'm pretty sure it was since the point of conception." I came out going, "Hey, take my wife, please." So anyway, now people laugh. I'm pretty sure it's genetic, but I had to do a lot of work to become what I would consider an original comedian. But now when people ask me, "Eric, what kind of a comedian are you?" And I'll say, "Well, I am a non-binary cis comedian." And because it's genetic, I don't identify as a comedian. I am one. Speaking of marriage, as I was talking about, the wedding vows, Garth Brooks proposed to his then girlfriend, Trisha Yearwood, proposed marriage at the Crystal Palace stage, and she said yes. Well, interestingly, they decided to write their own vows. Didn't go too well. There's a video on YouTube. No, there's not. Anyway, the pastor looked at Garth and he read Garth's marriage vows. And he said, "Garth, do you take this woman, Trisha Yearwood, to be your lawfully wedded opening act?" She said, "Garth, I thought we was going to be equals." He said, "Trisha, that's crazy talk. You're never going to outsell me." Yeah. This is kind of sad. A while back, I was thinking about my friend Shannon. I hadn't seen her in a long time. We used to be in a church youth group. We were leaders in it. If you can imagine me, a leader in a church youth group. I hadn't seen her in a long time, so I've been thinking about her. Well, I opened the obituaries that day, and here's her photo. Oh, dang. So I went to her celebration of life, and that day, I said, "I'm never going to think about another human being again. Never." Well, I went out and did karaoke that night, and I was chatting up a young woman, and after about 9 minutes of conversation, she said, "Eric, you're a narcissist. You don't think about anybody but yourself." I said, "Yeah, that's pretty true. In your case, I'll make an exception." I have a special tonight. I'm writing a new book, and if you want to get pre-purchase, it's $80. And I swear in all things is holy, I'll get it to you the day that it's published. I used to charge $75, but carrying around all those $5 bills wasn't real easy. You've heard of Stephen Covey's, if you haven't, I don't care. Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I'm going to have to deal with 7 habits. Mine is much better and much easier. The title is Eric Warnock, the 99-cent comedian. My key to success, psychopathy. If you don't have any concern for other human beings, it's like 7 habits. Yeah. And you get into politics, you get into finance, and you get into corporations. And what are those? Positions of power. And where do psychopaths go? Positions of power or prison. And if they get in the first 3, there's usually a delay before they end up in prison. Well, interesting thing going on in our society. We're now giving kids first names. They're also last names, like Parker, Cooper, Connor. I just hope our Jewish brethren don't get into it. I'm not sure the world's ready for a kid named Lipschitz Rabinowitz. You notice I use Parker, Cooper, Connor. Hand to God, I know a woman whose name is Parker Cooper. I go, hi, my name is Eric Wallace. I'm Parker Cooper. I was going, who would have thought it ever would have come to fruition? But it did. I was out at a music shop, stereos or PA system, stuff like this, and this local musician goes, hey, Eric, I heard that there are some musicians in here buying a PA system for an upcoming comedy show. You know anything about it? No. He goes, must not be much of a comedian. Oh, I burned over that for a while. This is a freaking horn player, yeah. But I got to thinking, how can I turn that into a joke? So here's the joke for your edification. When I first started doing comedy, there weren't many open mics or anything like that, or shows. I was basically the only guy in town. So I would call bars and say, hey, can I open for your band Saturday night? No, we don't allow no comedians in here. So what I would do is I would write the name of the bar, the person I spoke to, the phone number, and the date. Well, then a year later, I would call them about performing there. Sometimes, if you wait long enough, someone will die, and the gatekeeper will die. Oh yeah, come on. Well, it didn't happen. So I called her back, and I said, hey, I'm a local comedian. She goes, hey, ain't you that 99-cent comedian fella who just called a couple of weeks ago? And I said, well, it was a year ago. She said, a year ago? And I said, yeah. She said, you're a comedian? And I said, yeah. She goes, you ain't drank yourself to death or choked on your vomit from a heroin overdose? I said, no. She said, must not be much of a comedian. In my earlier years, I thought about taking my life a lot, the frickin' insanity of life. I ain't the only one in this whole world either. But now, I went to a psychologist for 5 years to doing a whole lot better now. Now, when I'm thinking about taking my own life, I go, look, dude, you're a comedian. If you took your own life as a comedian, you'd be an imitator. There's so many comedians who take their life. Damn, I thought he was the original, that 99-cent comedian fella. He's nothing but an imitator. I'm a single guy, live alone. And I start to get to an age where, I think some night in the middle of the night I might be waking up going, well, those, those things that people wear around their necks, and they, hit the button on the fob. Help! I've fallen. I can't get up. Well, I have one. It's a new app I've started, a new company. It's strictly for comedians. It's called Dial and Escort. Now, what it is, if I wake up in the middle of the night going, oh, what I do is hit this button, and an escort comes out to my house, throws a surgical tubing around my arm, pulls out my Lenny Bruce signature needle and syringe, loads it up with heroin, hits me. My final words are, That way people can say, hey, did you hear the 99-cent comedian died of a heroin overdose? Got a hooker in the room with him, died like a real comedian. And I wouldn't be an imitator, or I would be an imitator. Oh my gosh. It's like I just have to die in the middle of the freaking night. Let me see. Oh. Have you guys heard of the T-shirt sniff test? There was a university who got a bunch of young men, and they put on it, they took records of them, took photos, and they had them wear T-shirts for a day, work out. Well, then they would have ovulating women, it has to be ovulating women, they would come by and sniff the T-shirt, and they could tell with a high percent of accuracy if the young man had a symmetrical face. This is weird. And the symmetrical face usually means good health. And they could also detect the RH factor. It's like, dang, that's weird. Because if they mate with someone who has an RH factor too much like their brother, there could be birth defects in the child. Well, I heard this when I was going to Bakersfield College, and I like that saying, a little knowledge is dangerous, and a lot of knowledge is very dangerous. So I walk up to the ladies at Bakersfield College, and I say, hey, and you babes ovulating? I am. Take a sniff of this. I'm a smooth operator there, Jack. Smooth operator, I got to tell you. Oh, my gosh. Here's one for you. When I started work, I worked for the county, and when I started working there, it was just at the tail end of being able to smoke inside. I'm talking at your desk. I'm not talking a break room. And this one woman I worked with, she smoked inside, and people were going, The director would come walking through, hey, Mr. Sills, how are you? Well, they took it outside, I got to go outside. So I'd be walking by the smokers. I'm a non-smoker. And I'd watch them. They'd put a cigarette in their lips, light it up, big inhale. All the smoke would go past their lips, their teeth, their gums, the uvula, past the tonsils, down into their lungs, and they would hold it. Then they would exhale. Then I got to thinking, I inhale the smoke of both men and women. Does that make me a bi-passive smoker? I got to tell you, one of the things about creativity is Carl Jung said, you have to be a true creative person, you have to have a true self. Well, I was still living over here in the subconscious, but I was trying to get out of the recesses. So I called this woman I worked with. She's a smoker. I didn't realize, I called her up. She goes, hey, what's up? I go, hey, I'm a bi-passive smoker. She said, I don't know what you're talking about. I was going, oh. I'm going to have to set my jokes up. Wow. But see, before that, I was an imitator. I'd hear a joke and I could rattle that thing off. I'd obsess about it, Where does the, where do I put what syllable do I hit the hard part on? Wow, I have to set a joke up. People they can't read my mind. Who knows? Oh, God. Something else I learned at Bakersfield College. I took an anatomy class, one semester physiology. And in the anatomy class, I found out something interesting. The smallest muscle in the body also has the longest name. It's called the levator labii superiorum saliquinesi. What? I'll break it down for you. Levator, elevate, labii, lip, superioris, upper lip, aliqua, alongside nasi, the nose. It's this little muscle up here that allows you to go. Now Elvis Presley made an entire career on that. Clint Eastwood, I know what you're thinking, punk. You fire 6 shots, you're only 5. Well, I really can't see myself walking into the club, pulling up my shirt and go, hey, babes, check out my abs. So I started working on this thing right here. I actually have a piercing in my mustache, and I put a hook through it, and I hang a string down, and I started out with a ballpoint pen, working it out, man. Now, when I go to the gym, I put a 75-pound kettlebell on that thing, and I'm looking in the mirror like, this thing, boom, pulsing, boom, 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 sweat pouring down, people are staring at me going, well, I must be working. Walked out to the club a while back, and I walked up to a table of young lovelies, and I went, hey, babe, what's happening? I heard one of them scream, oh my God, did you see the levator labii superioris saliquinesi on that guy? That thing was cut, it was ripped, it was shredded. He must be a real bad boy. Romantic too. Sometimes people ask me, Shirley, how long have you been doing comedy? It's been over 30 years. On and off, because, I've tried the LA thing, and that's just mentally ill people. One time I would have fit in, but, the novelty of it wore out. Hey, you got to go to LA. And I've done shows around town, but funnest shows I've done are doing Tony's Pizza. It's a lot of fun, I kind of consider it be an entrepreneur, handing out flyers, chatting people up, and are you clean? Yeah. Wow. George Carlin called himself what did he call himself? It may come to me. Part of the counterculture in the late 60s and the 70s. Now I consider myself part of the counterculture because I work clean. 66-year-old rebel. Rebel without a clue. Excuse me, I have to get some water. Pizza time. I'm going to see if I can imitate George Carlin from one of his albums in the 70s. I'm going to share this drink with you. Please don't consider me I didn't steal that. I gave credit where credit was due. Let me see. Buns of Steel, guitar lessons, athlete's foot. You know, I like to go out and do karaoke. I love doing karaoke. But other people, they get up there and start doing new songs. God almighty, it's just, you ever heard the idea of 7-Eleven songs? The same 7 words, saying 11 different ways. Well, you know, I hear a lot of people doing those songs like, oh my God, I like doing songs like they used to get on radio, you know, 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes long. Well, radio is a thing of the past. So people do 4.5 and 5 minute songs. And oh my God, they're beating that horse to death. What I found, if you're a comedian and you go too long with a joke, people's response are, God, that guy's beating that horse to death. Difference between music and, I've been noting, I can't think of the songs now, but it's just the same. The tag goes on like 40 or 50 lines. Oh my God. Yeah, so anyway, I'm about done now. I'm about wore out. Anyway, thanks for coming out, guys. I really appreciate it. And I'll put some cards out here on the table. Some uh-oh.